Today we're talking about out-of-body experiences, but before I tell you about my 3 out-of-body experiences, let me throw out a quick summary for those who aren't privy to this phenomena. An out-of-body experience involves being separated from your own body, viewing your own physical body and others from an external perspective. The out-of-body person may or may not be aware they have been separated from their physical form, making this out-of-body experience involuntary or voluntary. Out-of-body experiences can be induced by near-death experiences, severe trauma, spiritual practices, psychedelic drugs, and through the dream state, and this can also be known as astral projection. Out-of-body experiences seem to occur in only 10% of the population, and even though scientists have theories around the cause of out-of-body experiences, the phenomena is still widely misunderstood and unknown. Now let's get straight into the video and talk about my first out-of-body experience, and this out-of-body experience is a borderline near-death experience story, and I do have to add a trigger warning here because we will touch up on a few sensitive subjects. My first out-of-body experience happened when I was 15 years old. This is a time in my life where I was hella confused, and as well as going through the normal growing pains and teen difficulties, I had a lot going on around me externally, so I really felt like my sanity was hanging off the edge of a cliff. One evening I reached a point where I felt like I could not take any more, and I ended up ODing on over-the-counter painkillers. Now I'm not going to go into the details around this story and why I did it and what actually happened after I did it, but this is a subject I'd be willing to talk about in a future video if anyone does feel like it could help in any way. But cut to the chase, next thing I know, I am laying back on my bed and my heart rate is starting to slow down. As I reached the last beats, I knew I was going, I knew I was out. The next thing I remember is I'm standing in my room. As I stand there, I see my physical body laying on the bed, and there is a woman in her mid-40s. She has brown hair and she has a bun on her head, and she's sitting on the side of the bed by my physical body. Now, I'm telling you, this woman was not happy. She was PISSED. Weirdly, this lady doesn't acknowledge me. She only acknowledges my physical body, which I'm no longer in. And I don't attempt to communicate with this woman because I'm busy being super curious, but at the same time, she was giving off a very angry energy. Now, I don't know whether I was scared to communicate with her or not. My memory isn't that sharp, but thinking back, I definitely know that if I had communicated with her, she would completely lay in on me. Now, this next part is going to sound so cliche, but she starts banging on the bed and she's like, "Get up! Get up, Sarah!" And then the next memory is me waking back up in my physical body, feeling like SHIT. Now, let me throw this in there. I woke up feeling so ill. And I mean, I was vomiting like crazy. I could not even hold water down. And eventually, when I was taken to the hospital, the doctors told me that if I was 2 hours later, my kidneys would have failed and I would not be here today. ODing and the S word is no joke. And even though I'm not going to go into the details of it in this video, it's not something to play around with. Now, it's 15, 16 years since I did that, and I still have very weak kidneys. I cannot drink too much. I do not take DRUGs, not because I don't agree with them, I think each to their own, but my body just can't handle it. And that's because I stupidly OD'd when I was 15 on painkillers. Now, the second out-of-body experience is another borderline near-death experience. And by the way, I explain these experiences as borderline because I didn't go to heaven, I didn't speak to my angels, I didn't go and have a life review, but I definitely went somewhere. So between 2017 and 2020, I suffered with a lot of immunity problems. I was overwhelmed with unexplainable illnesses that would leave me bedbound. Illnesses such as chronic bronchitis, tonsil flare-ups, and I also suffered from a crushed larynx from a previous injury, which would cause my throat to close up uncomfortably whenever I would get ill. And when my throat would close up, it would literally be like breathing through a pinhole. Now, this next part may sound really irresponsible, but if you've watched my videos thus far, you will realize that this is a bit of a theme of the channel. So I fell ill. One of my tonsils flared up pretty big. On this evening, I called up emergency services to let them know that I was breathing with difficulty. And I'll be real, I was hoping I could pop a few sleeping pills and get an appointment first thing in the morning, as I had a sleeping 18-month-old in the house that I did not want to wake up. And something that seems very obvious is do not take sleeping pills when you're in any kind of danger, especially if you cannot breathe. You'd think it would be common knowledge, wouldn't you? So of course, emergency services urged me to go into the hospital immediately, and they did say that if I went to sleep, there is a very high chance that I could stop breathing, but I declined so my son could have a restful night's sleep. So I took myself into the living room to sleep on the sofa because the living room was a very large, cool room that would help ease my throat. And of course, your girl popped a sleeping pill, so I was out like a light. Next thing I remember is I was standing up by the entrance of the kitchen, and I did wonder why I was standing and not lying down. Now this feeling felt very different to the feeling I felt when I was 15 and standing in my bedroom. I felt calm and I felt curious on that occasion, but on this occasion I felt extremely uneasy. It's like I was at home, but this wasn't the home I knew. It's important to note that everything looked exactly the same, and I did have the urge to move out of the room and explore, but it was like an overwhelming feeling that there was something dangerous lurking around the corner and I would be a lot safer where I stood. And another thing I must note, this was a very long time after my first experience in my bedroom. When I experienced leaving my body in my bedroom, I had an overwhelming feeling of knowing. I had purposely taken those pills, I was expecting to leave my body, and I do feel like that is why I felt so calm and so curious in that moment. But then the instance in my living room, I had no idea why I was standing there. So then I looked towards the sofa and saw my physical body laying there. I screamed so loud when I saw my physical body and realised that I was out of it. And as I did this, I shot up into the air and I was violently sucked down back into my physical body. And then I woke up in my body instantly. My body was freezing cold, my limbs were numb, and it really did feel like there was no blood pumping around my physical body for a short while. Now my third out of body experience was 100% astral projection. And this one is creepy in a creep kind of way. And I must say, even though I had an element of control in this situation, me leaving my body was very involuntary. I hadn't done anything to leave my body. I hadn't done any spiritual practices. I hadn't been reading any books about astral projection. It just happened. And as I stepped out my body, it was kind of like the feeling of being like, okay, I guess we're doing this now then. So as soon as I was out of my body, I was a girl on a mission. I walked down the stairs and I walked straight out of that front door. And I actually remember taking my hand to pull the door handle. Now, I'm pretty sure that I did not open that door and that I just walked through the door. Another factor around this is the fact that that door would have been locked and I did not have any astral keys to get out, but I do remember feeling so human that I actually went for the door handle. So as I was outside, I walked 2 houses down. I walked through their front door straight upstairs and I jumped in bed with my neighbours. Now, I don't know why I chose them. I don't know why I jumped in bed with them. And this is that element of it being in between voluntary and involuntary. I really feel like when you're astral projecting, you're working from your subconscious. So you're going where your subconscious wants to go rather than where your conscious wants to go. So I have no idea why subconsciously I wanted to walk into that particular house, but consciously I wouldn't have even thought about going into their house. Now what's really interesting about this is as soon as I entered their bedroom and jumped into bed with them, I could feel their feelings. And I felt the immense overwhelm of love, safety and security. Now I didn't know those neighbours too well when I astral projected, but months down the line when we actually started conversing with those neighbours, I really did gather the information that they were a very secure couple, they were a very tight-knit household, and I did actually get a lot of very strong kind of alpha protective feelings from the masculine that lived there. So it really just confirmed all the feelings I felt when I astral projected into their bed. Now the neighbour in question is a sub on my other channel, which is a tarot channel. By the way, if you do like tarot, please check out my other channel. It will be linked in the description box down below. But I'm going to be mortified if they see that video. And again, I have to reiterate, my subconscious wanted to get into your bed, not my conscious. It's just the creepiest thing ever. But dude, the love in that household, it was very different to the feelings in my household, let's put it that way. I needed it. I was magnetised towards the love. Can you blame me? So I've always been really confused around these out-of-body experiences, i.e. the first 2 experiences, I'm like, are they near-death experiences? What exactly do I call them? But then I did get a bit of confirmation from a psychic not so long ago who did say, have you been to the other side? And I was like, I believe so. And then the psychic proceeded to say, oh, you'll be going back before you pass over. So I was like, great, you've really put the SHITs in me, ain't you? But as I said, when I think of near-death experiences, I think about going to heaven. I think about meeting your creator. But I was stuck in the in-between. And it does make me think, when it comes to spirits, when it comes to ghosts or hauntings, Are they energies stuck in that in-between that I was in when I had my near-death experiences? I said that weird then, my near-death experiences. It's happening again. There's also a lot of funny stories out there about people having out-of-body astral experiences, and I'm going to leave you with one very short story to close out this video because I did talk about some touchy subjects, so let's have a quick laugh. But apparently when you are out of body, you don't always take your current physical form. So people in these states who've looked in the mirror have claimed they've taken forms from previous times in their life. There was this one lady who took a form of her at 15 years old, but it was a time of her life where she embarrassingly looked awful. Like, she was wearing like crazy 80s clothes, she had like a little bobble on her head, and she just looked like SHIT. But this takes me back to that subconscious element of astral projection, and it makes me think, with that woman, she may have a photo of that somewhere, or she may have remembered that time of her life because she looked so mortifyingly bad that it's so ingrained in her subconscious, so when she astral projects, she takes that form. But this subconscious astral form can really go to the extremes. So there was one lady, and we'll call her June. She had an out-of-body experience and she was walking around the streets doing a thing, and she saw a woman and her daughter. Now the woman and her daughter looked at June, and then they started running and screaming in the opposite direction. Now June's a little bit confused because she's out of body, you don't really know what's going on. As I said, you know, I got in a stranger's bed. But June starts running too because she thinks that maybe this woman and her daughter are running away from something dangerous. Now whilst June is running, she is running past shop windows, and she sees her reflection in this one shop window, stops, looks, and is shocked because she is a human form with 3 breasts and no head, and then realised that it's her who the woman and the daughter were running away from. Now it does make you think what June's vision of herself is subconsciously if she manifests as a physical form with 3 breasts and no head. That's the crazy thing about the astral realms. We don't understand it, but it's interesting to talk about it. So that is my 3 out-of-body experiences. I want to say thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being part of my midlife crisis. If you like this video, please drop a like. If you have anything to say, please shout out in the comments down below. If you like stories like this, please subscribe because I absolutely love making videos like this for you, and I want to see more of you. Take care of yourselves, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.